Imagine breaking into the most secure bank vault in France, taking 46 million francs in gold, cash, and jewels, spending 4 straight days inside the vault, drinking wine and eating charcuterie, and leaving without firing a single bullet. Instead, you leave a message on the wall written in red paint, without weapons, hatred, or violence. This is the true story of Albert Spaggiari. He pulled off the legendary heist of the century. Then, he did something even more insane. He escaped the police by jumping out of a courthouse window. How did a quiet wedding photographer outsmart the entire French police force? Let's dig into the wildest bank robbery in history. To understand the heist, you have to understand the man. Albert Spaggiari wasn't a typical gangster. He was a former soldier, an eccentric, and a local wedding photographer in Nice, France. He loved the spotlight. He loved adventure. And most of all, he wanted to be rich. In 1975, Spaggiari fixed his gaze on the Société Générale. The vault was considered completely impenetrable from the street, but Spaggiari wasn't looking at the street. He looked down. He discovered that the city's underground sewer system ran incredibly close to the bank's vault walls. He realized that if he could get into the sewers, he could walk right under the bank. Spaggiari needed muscle and expertise. To bridge this gap, he made a calculated alliance with the Marseille's mafia. He recruited professional safecrackers, miners, and muscle. For 9 weeks, this crew lived a double life. By day, they were normal citizens. By night, they crawled into the dark, toxic sewers of Nice. They spent months digging an 8-meter-long tunnel. The conditions were horrific. Mud, rats, and toxic gases surrounded them. Every single bucket of dirt had to be hauled out by hand. To keep morale up, Spaggiari brought heavy tools, mattresses, and even gourmet food into the sewers. The hardest part? The vault wall. It was a massive block of reinforced concrete. The gang used heavy jacks and drilling equipment. They even ran a massive electric cable from a local parking lot street lamp to power their drills. Finally, on July 16, 1976, during a long holiday weekend, the drill broke through. They were in. When the gang stepped into the vault, they found a literal treasure chest. Thousands of private safe deposit boxes filled with the wealth of the French Riviera's elite. But they didn't rush. They knew the bank was closed until Monday. They had all the time in the world. The thieves spent 4 days systematically cracking open over 300 safe deposit boxes. They hit a jackpot of cash, gold bullion, and priceless diamonds. But here's where the story gets bizarre. They didn't act like stressed criminals. They treated the vault like a luxury lounge. They welded the massive vault doors shut from the inside, so nobody could surprise them. They opened vintage wine bottles stolen from the boxes. They ate soup, cheese, and charcuterie. They joked, laughed, and rested on mattresses. By Sunday night, they had packed up millions of dollars worth of loot. Before crawling back into the sewer, Spaggiari took a brush and painted those famous words on the wall: sans armes, and I haine, and I violence. On Monday morning, bank employees tried to open the vault. The lock wouldn't turn. When the police finally broke through the welded doors, the vault was empty. The gang had vanished into the sewers with the wealth of Nice. The investigation was relentless. The French government was compromised on a global stage. The breakthrough didn't come from brilliant police work. It came from a lapse in operational security. Months later, a syndicate member attempted to launder a fraction of the stolen currency. The police arrested him, and the trail led straight to Albert Spaggiari. Spaggiari was arrested. During his interrogation, the psychological chess match reached its climax. On March 10, 1977, Spaggiari sat in a second-story office with a magistrate inside the Nice courthouse. He knew his mystique was his greatest weapon. He handed the judge a document filled with fake, encrypted code, claiming it proved his innocence. While the judge looked down, Spaggiari turned, ran across the room, and leaped straight out of the second-story window. He landed safely on the roof of a parked Renault car. A waiting accomplice on a motorcycle pulled up. Spaggiari hopped on, waved goodbye to the shocked onlookers, and sped away into the sunset. Within seconds, he was gone. Within 10 minutes, the French borders were closed and all flights leaving the country were canceled. But it was too late. Albert had vanished. A few months after his escape, he sent a picture of himself to a local newspaper, saying, "Greetings from Albert." He even sent the owner of the car that he damaged $600 and an apology note. Albert Spaggiari spent the next 12 years on the run. Sentenced to life in prison, he somehow managed to spend the rest of his life as a free man. While authorities searched for him, Spaggiari traveled across continents, changed his appearance through plastic surgery, gave interviews to the press, and even published books that openly mocked the investigators trying to catch him. His notoriety even brought him into contact with other legendary fugitives. In 1981, Spaggiari met with Ronald Biggs in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. The encounter between two of the world's most famous criminals was captured on video, offering a rare glimpse of the men who had become symbols of some of the most audacious crimes of the 20th century.
René, on dit que tu es le fifth number one, le voleur premier dans le monde.
Yeah.
Est-ce que tu as volé plus de 10 millions de dollars, je crois? 7 millions de dollars, je crois.
$7 million.
7 millions de dollars. Est-ce que tu penses que Spaggiari Albert est plus grand que toi pour ces 10 millions de dollars?
Who is Albert Spaggiari?
C'est vrai, tu ne connais pas Albert Spaggiari, Ronnie. Il a pris 10 millions, je crois, de dollars à la Société Générale en 76.
Well, I don't know the name, but I know the robbery. And I think that must have been around about 1976 or 1977. And you must remember that the value of the pound or the value of the dollar was infinitely less than it was in 1963. So $7 million in 1963 must be worth much, much more than $10 million in 1976. So you must admit that Albert Spaggiari goes into the second place and not the first place.
Nous avions imaginé que de vous faire rencontrer tous les deux, Albert Spaggiari et toi, René. Il n'a pas pu venir. Mais imaginons que je sois Spaggiari, Albert Spaggiari. Aimerais-tu rencontrer et bavarder avec lui?
Oh, it's a very difficult life to be on the run. Some people seem to think it's a lot of fun, being able to do what you like with lots of money going around the world. But there's a lot of suffering involved, and there's a lot of heartache.
Ok, je comprends. Tu veux dire que la cavale est beaucoup plus difficile, beaucoup plus pénible que la prison.
Yet despite being one of France's most infamous fugitives, Spaggiari still found ways to return home from time to time to visit his mother and his wife. And the missing 46 million francs? They were never found. The fortune simply vanished, becoming one of the greatest unanswered questions in modern criminal history. In the end, only 4 men were convicted in connection with the heist, and each served just a few months behind bars. Spaggiari himself would never face justice. In 1989, he died of cancer while still a fugitive. But even in death, the legend continued. According to reports, friends secretly smuggled his body back into France so he could be buried in his homeland, one final escape from the authorities who had spent years trying to bring him in. A master thief, a lifelong fugitive, and the architect of one of the most audacious bank robberies ever committed, Albert Spaggiari left behind more than a crime. He left behind a mystery, and to this day, no one knows what truly happened to the missing millions. What do you think? Was Spaggiari a brilliant criminal mastermind or just incredibly lucky? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more insane historical crime stories, and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.